Yeah, I want to make another video on the Beck Protocol, and there's a reason for it. Because I talked about another video I did before. I want to get around, and it was more about doing the Beck Protocol combined with herbs. Because Dr. Beck had his device set upon 4 hertz, and he says there's a condition that can happen where you have transfection, and it makes the herbs absorb into the blood a lot faster, so it's almost like taking too many herbs or too many medicines beyond what the dosage is. But you could set the device on 10 hertz or 40 hertz and avoid 40 hertz. You'll avoid pretty much all the transfection problems. Now, I'm going to point to some links on some sites about transfection and stuff like that, so you can look into that. But basically, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here for some people who know about the Beck Protocol or the Beck Protocol. And I'm going to state where I think it goes wrong. Because first off, I'm using it right here, right? I noticed I got a big energy increase since I really upped doing the Beck Protocol a lot more with the blood electrification. But on my other video, I recommended that if you're going to actually do this for something, like to knock out something, that you use 2 units and wrist to wrist and ankle to ankle, and also set, like this one's set on 10 hertz. There's not very, I never had a problem. Let me put it this way. I haven't noticed the problem with transfection where the herbs seem like to get absorbed faster on the standard 4 hertz setting. And even Dr. Bob Beck, PhD, said, he's not a real doctor, he's a physicist, right? But real doctors develop this current, though. But Dr. Bob Beck did state that it doesn't happen all the time. It happens with some people. I take vitamins and herbs like crazy, and I was using the 4 hertz. I was like, I don't know, it never bothered me none. So, I don't know. But, actually, I'm going to recommend, because like I seen it, I'm curious about this. First off, you got HIV, Hep C, and I don't know, there's other blood-borne viruses and stuff, and also weird designer things that can come out, like with bird flu, that are like incurable. I think, this might be a good thing to know, because if it works like the way it should, it's fantastic. Now, first off, I'm going to say this. I saw a lot of people saying, like on the internet, Bob Beck, he was just a snake oil sale. I see all kinds of opinions. And I'm going to apply my common sense to this damn thing. First off, Bob Beck didn't make money off of this stuff. He was going around doing speeches and stuff like that with his own money. He was traveling to Granada or college. He wasn't selling nothing. To me, that's common sense tip 101. The hell is he doing this for? He basically said that if he didn't rediscover his patent, he'd be dead. So he figured, hey, now I feel great. I got all this, it fixed him. That's what he said. That was his motivation behind telling the world. I buy that because he wasn't selling nothing. He was losing money telling people about this shit. And the guy was highly intelligent. Whether he was a medical doctor or not, he was highly intelligent. But what I think you got to do is, with a modified Beck protocol, first off, if you're using a 10 hertz or a 40 hertz setting, and you could, in other words, it's going back and forth, positive, negative on a special current that was developed in the New York Albert Einstein College of Medicine, New York City, by Doctors Cowley and Lyman. It's patent 5188738, dated February 23rd, 1993. I think I remember that. That was the main patent. And it worked. It actually worked. It clobbered viruses and everything. But I want to state this. If you set the device on 10 hertz or 40 hertz, and there's only one place I know you can get that, I would take these herbs. Like, say you're trying to knock out Hep C or HIV or something really bad they say is incurable. Olive leaf extract, cat's claw, astragalus, bee propolis, bitter melon extract that raises your white blood cells, high sop, and it's according to a study in the Philippines. It's not even like Hey, but trust the Filipino doctors. Dandelion root, echinacea, golden seal root. Take it easy on the echinacea, golden seal root. Don't act, a couple weeks on, a few weeks off, that kind of shit. Don't overdo it. Green tea, you can drink lots of that. Coconut oil, you ain't got to worry about that. You can put that on all your food. It's got lauric acid, dissolves any freaking virus outside lipid cell wall of any virus there is. And oregano oil. So the problem with Beck's original protocol, he says no herbs. Well, set the damn device on 10 hertz or 40 hertz, and you don't have to worry about transfection. And actually, most people probably don't have to worry about transfection with 4 hertz. It never bothered me. I gotta say that. It never bothered me none. Now, the other thing I want to say is about the magnetic pulsar was part of his protocol. I don't know. I mean, I got one of those things. I use it, and I'm going to tell you this. The whole idea behind a magnetic pulsar was to move fluids in and out of the lymph system. But if you're zapping while you're doing like extreme cardio, you know what extreme exercise and exercise does? Even just plain old walking, and not anything like real extreme exercise, but it pumps the lymph system. Your lymph system is pumping in and out fluids like crazy. So you can get away without using a magnetic pulsar, to tell you the truth, because that item is pretty expensive. That thing's like $400. These are like $200. So I would recommend getting 2 of these versus getting a freaking magnetic pulsar if you're strapped for cash. And the other thing is, the colloidal silver, that's good. I think that's good stuff. But the coconut oil, I don't know. Coconut oil kills pathogens too. Now, if you look in the American literature, it doesn't show it emphasizes as much. But if you go down to established Filipino and Malaysian doctors, I mean, regular medical community, they'll tell you a lot more good things about how coconut oil fights viruses and stuff like that and bacteria. I mean, I don't know. It depends on what country you come from, right? So, now the other thing is I want to say about this blood electrification thing. This is the whole key to it. I think when Beck set this up, and he did various ways. He set it up wrist to wrist and same wrist, ankle to ankle. These like electrodes, right? And I think he turned it up pretty high where you felt it pulsing, because you want to get it deep into the actual artery where the blood has got a lot of flow. It's like a big pipe. You don't want to get it into the capillaries too much. This is what I think anyway. The other thing is this. I'm saying this as a layman. I'm saying this from pure common sense. I'm almost telling you like a mechanic would tell you, right? But you know what? A lot of times pure common, let me put it this way, follow the logic behind it. So it's too simple. First off, you want to make sure it pulses into the artery. So I'm thinking like when this thing is actually, I don't know. I think this is effective. But say you really want to clobber something, you might want to turn it up where the light goes off again. And you feel like tingling a little bit. Then, use it like that for like an hour, then turn it down to like where the light's on a little bit. Try various settings. Because you want to make sure it's getting into where the big pipe is with the artery, where there's a lot of blood flow. If I remember correctly, I remember some people saying this, that when Beck used this unit, he used thin electrodes. They were like no more than 3/32 of an inch wide. They were directly over the arteries, and he zapped it hard, where you'd feel it like really pulsing. Now, I'm going to say before Beck did this device where you could do it from the outside of the skin, you used to have to get an operation. See, this was not something like a layman developed. It was like the physicist, PhD, Dr. Bob Beck, PhD physicist, developed this where you could put it on the outside of the body. But this was being used by medical people for real, the same current and everything like that, inside the body. What they did was they put it was like a heart pacemaker battery, one of those things that powered the current, the special current that was developed in the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City, that would pulse the the blood right in the artery. It would just be going 24 hours a day. And then it would inactivate the viruses. And then what they'd have to do was, like, after so long, I think it was a month or two, that artery would get all messed up and they'd have to do an operation. It was like $5,000 like 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago. Well, about 20 years ago. To move it to, well, it was more than 20 years ago. It was like 30 years ago, practically. It was in the early 90s, excuse me, whatever that was. But 20 years ago. The they'd have to do another $5,000 operation to move that electrode and put a new battery in it and move it someplace else. But it would clear the viruses out of the body. It would just clear them out of the blood. It would knock them out. So I think that's a key component, because maybe if you don't have this thing right over the artery, or you're not, or if maybe you're just pulsing through the capillaries, you're going to either require a much longer treatment time, or, you know, that's what it is. You're not getting enough blood. That's probably what the problem is. That's why you see all these stories, like some say it works, some say it doesn't work. And in the case of Beck, supposedly he had these studies that were supposed to be released to the public. It's one of these rumor things. Hey, I'm telling you, man, I think this is freaking legit. I think it's legit. But I want to figure out why there's so many discrepancies. And, but he supposedly had all these studies that said it worked. It just flat out worked every time. So what I'm thinking is, for the average person that probably puts this stupid thing over their wrist in the wrong place, I mean, if it's off in like a quarter inch, where you're not getting it on your artery exactly, or you're not zapping it hard enough to get down where the blood flow is, you probably need a hell of a lot longer treatment time. So that may be the case. So for the average person, they'd probably want to get 2 of these things and put them on like ankle to ankle, wrist to wrist, and then turn them up to the max for a while, then turn them to like where the light's on, and try various things. Turn them up to where, like, you know, it's not painful, where you feel a little tingle, you know, it's zapping a little bit. And, you know, leave them on longer, you know. I think when Dr. Beck set him up, PhD, when he set him up, he probably accurately put them right over the arteries with thin metal strips wrapped in cloth, like they're probably an 1/8 inch wide. They're right over that. Then he turned the thing way the hell up, where it was like thumping. Bum, 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 bum. And so he was like getting it inside there. Now, another thing I think about turning this up more, see, this thing doesn't kill the virus. What it does is it disrupts the outer protein layer of the virus or something like that. It kind of works like the drugs do in a way when you think about it, because that's like how the drugs work against viruses. They screw up the virus where it can't actually get into and infect a new cell. It doesn't actually kill it, right? So here's just my thinking. You know, it's almost like smacking something with a hammer. You didn't kill it, you stunned it. You fucked it up. It's like going around like, and in the body's immune system, it's vulnerable. It's not inside a new healthy cell where it's reproducing. The body's immune system, it's all on its own. It's got smacked on the head with a hammer, right? You know? It's like you took this little magnolite and you smacked that virus on the head. Well, if you turn this up more, this is just my idea, because I'm thinking Beck probably had this thing cranked up to where just below the pain level or some shit. You turn this thing up more. It's almost like, in my mind, I'm going to say this. It's like smacking the virus with a bigger hammer, or taking the same hammer and hitting it harder, getting a bigger swing on that sucker. You know what I mean? So, anybody experimenting with this, you know, to try to conquer some incurable thing, and I'm curious about this because I think the the 3 biggest rackets out there in the medical community is cancer, HIV/AIDS, and heart disease. You know, they're never going to find a cure for any of this shit. They're just going to get money, money, money. You know, medicinal marijuana oil. It's snake oil, right? Yeah, it doesn't work. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, man. I don't know, man. I mean, but, you know, I think this guy Beck was legit. So I'm going to put this out here. use 2 electrifiers. Or if you're broke, use 1 electrifier ankle to ankle, or at least wrist to wrist, cranked up a lot, right? Make sure you crank that thing up so you're like smacking that virus with a good hammer, you know? And also, if you feel like, you got these things on cloth, right? If you feel like it's burning your skin, turn it down, damn it. You know what I mean? And the other thing is, you might want to have a little extra skin protection. Put a little coconut oil under this strip here. So you got, it don't hurt the skin that way, Me, I don't give a shit. If I wanted to use this thing, I'd just turn it up, burn holes in my skin. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But, there's a lot of whiners out there, but it's like, actually, if you set it on this device where the light is on, I don't see how you're going to burn your skin in a million years, and it's going to work. But I think, turning it up more might give you a little more power against the virus. It's like smacking it harder, and you might be getting more current down where the deeper veins are. That might be advantageous. But the other thing I want to say again is, I would use these. Now, I personally used it on 4 hertz. It took herbs and vitamins, and I didn't see where it gave me like an overdose of vitamins and herbs. And actually, when I look at what Dr. Beck, PhD, said, he says it only happens with some people, right? But it is, there's a transfection chart that shows that 10 hertz, and especially 40 hertz, you got little or no transfection. So I would think, if you're trying to conquer the unconquerable, the holy grail of money for the medical people, I would use this electrical device on 10 hertz or 40 or 10 hertz. I think is fine, actually. Turn it up. Sometimes where the light's off, you feel a little tingle. Then turn it back down for a while. Try different settings. You don't want to burn your skin. If you're on a red light, you're not going to burn your skin. Use longer settings, and try the herbs. These are powerful medicines from the ancients. Olive leaf extract, been around since the Romans and the Greeks. Cat's claw, that's Peruvian vines, medicines and stuff. Astragalus, I forgot what that one is, but it's very powerful for the immune system, boosted up. Beet propolis, another one. Bitter melon extract, that's a real important one, and not well known. Very important. And hyssop, another good one. Killer of all kinds of good shit. Bad shit, that is. Good. It's good killer. That's what it is. Dandelion root, been around with the ancient Indians. Echinacea, golden seal root. Take it easy on those two. Don't do them forever. They're not good to take forever. Green tea, you can take that forever. Coconut oil, forever, no problem. It's good stuff. You put on your food, oregano oil. So that would be the way I'd be doing it. And I think the real protocol, probably, if you modify the Beck Protocol, is just drink a hell of a lot of green tea and water. And, you really don't need to get an ozonator. I don't know if that's the super most important thing around. The colloidal silver, that kills pathogens, but you can only take so much of that stuff. You don't want to take too much. That's cheap, though. And I got a video. You just use some batteries, but you don't want to take too much of that. The coconut oil and oregano oil could suffice in place of the colloidal silver in a lot of ways. Plus you got nourishment, and it does a lot of other stuff too. It's there's a million things that coconut oil does, and those have been around forever. That stuff's safe. Tell anybody over in the Philippines and Malaysia that coconut oil is bad for you. They're going to look at you like you're high. I don't give a damn how many initials you got after your name. But the real doctors over in the Philippines and Malaysia will tell you that coconut oil is some damn good stuff. So I want to actually put this video out in some of these alternative websites and stuff like that, the Cure Zone and all this kind of garbage. Because I'm curious, what I recommend will be the way to go with this stuff. Use 2 electrifiers and herbs. And exercise. You probably don't need, to use the ozonator. You don't need to buy that thing too. Cause why not have it cheaper too, right? And these herbs are cheap, man. I mean, you can buy a whole pile of these things for like $100. I mean, a lot. It lasts you like a year practically. You get them in the right place, right? So it's cheap. And actually, if you want to use one electrifier ankle to ankle, that'll work. Just got to make sure you use it about 10 hours a day or something, and vary the resistance. So I got a suspicion that Beck stuff works every freaking time, and I want to put some common sense things out there as to why some people say it don't work. Because first off, I think it's either they're not getting it into the main bloodstream, and maybe it requires harder zapping where that virus is getting hit with a hammer harder, because the effect where the virus is like screwed up on the outside cell wall where it can't affect new cells, it only lasts for like a little over a day. But maybe harder zapping makes it last longer. The effect lasts longer where it can't affect new cells. Maybe. I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, if you're hitting something where it's kind of screwing it up, and you hit it with more of the same thing, wouldn't it kind of screw it up longer? I don't know. So, the only way we're going to know, though, is if a bunch of people say this shit works. Then we know it. Which will be cool. So, got some ideas. I want to throw them out there.